Hello and welcome to Channel's Book Club. My name is Olakunle Kasumo and it's great to be back on the show today. Now, a lot of people think that there are not many writers from northern Nigeria. I'm talking about those who write fictional stories, who write novels. Well, there are quite a number there, and you're going to meet one special one today. Not only is she from northern Nigeria, she's actually very young. Zainab Salihu Ishaq is her name. Zainab is young, brilliant, and creative. And she's written a book titled The Arrival. Not only does it have an interesting story in it, it also has some very lovely poetry. We were very excited to meet with Zainab, and she's here with us on this particular episode. Let's meet her and then enjoy the conversation we had with Zainab.
Zainab Ishaq is an author and medical laboratory science student of Al Hikmah University, Ilorin. She is passionate about storytelling, poetry, and spoken word. Her debut book, The Arrival, is a collection of 70 poems and a novel narrating the story of the Chibok girls.
Zainab, nice to have you on Channel's Book Club.
Thank you for having me.
Great to have you here. The Arrival. This is your first book.
Yes, it is.
Your first novel.
First one.
When did you develop interests in writing? You told me you wrote this book when you were 17. That's pretty young.
Yes.
That's pretty young. A lot of writers I know, they didn't start writing until their 20s, 30s, and all that. The great Chinua Achebe, by the way, wrote the famous Things Fall Apart when he was 27.
It's quite interesting.
Okay, so 17 is pretty young to have written a book. So what's your story?
So I started, when I was a kid, I started writing, and at that time I did not understand that was what it was until my sister read one of the stories and she said, oh, this is what it is. And
One of your own stories?
Yes, yes.
Oh,
yes.
So you have been writing short stories?
I've been writing short stories.
Oh, interesting. Please go on.
So at that time, it wasn't really good, but she assisted me in some of the things, some of the writing. I want to call it an expo, but she assisted me and she wrote a little bit of a story inside, and then with time I scratched it off. So when I was in secondary school, we had this during English class. We usually have these essay writing competitions, very small. So each time I wrote a piece, my teacher would say, oh, okay, this is actually good, Zainab Salihu, this is very good, you can be a writer. And then with time, before I graduated.
So that encouraged you?
Yes, that encouraged me.
So when you were much younger, you were dabbling into writing short stories.
Yes,
so you had
what it was.
So you had always been interested in writing something.
Yes.
That was something inborn, right? Or how did you, usually people who write, are readers.
Yes.
Most times. So I'm guessing you must have caught the reading bug, sometime very early. Is that correct?
Yes. And to be honest, I think it's from my father, because he reads a lot. He reads, and then my siblings read as well. Okay. And when I stumbled on Chimamanda, I decided to just explore books and see what the reading
was. She your first inspiration was as a writer?
Yes, she was.
She was. Okay. Which of her works did you read early?
I think it was half of
a Yellow Sun.
Then Purple Hibiscus.
Hibiscus. Okay.
Yes.
Great. Fantastic. So here you are now. So you wrote The Arrival. Let's go through this, and then we'll come back to that part of that story about you. What's The Arrival all about? For somebody out there who is watching and who is curious to know, what will he or she find when they dig into this book?
Oh, The Arrival is basically the arrival of insurgency to the north. How it came and how it ruined so many lives.
Yeah, one of the things that I find fascinating about your story, about this book, which I love, is, novels have a tendency of helping us to capture history. A lot of writers don't do it consciously. They just want to tell a nice, lovely story, you know, and they write. But for the reader, particularly readers who catch things like that very quickly, you know, novels help us to capture history. But you went about to deliberately capture history with this story. Is that correct?
Yes.
Please talk to me about that.
So at that time, when I was in secondary school, one of the secondary schools, I think one school was attacked in Maiduguri. And so I imagined I was also a secondary school student. You know, it could have happened to me. So I would call it a privilege. I had the privilege of writing what did not happen to me. So that was it.
So that was what inspired the
Yes,
story.
yes.
What was it that caught your attention, that drew you to writing that story, really?
If you look at the heinous and hideous acts that happened to the Chibok girls, and also put into consideration the Dapchi girls, I just thought I would, in my own way, as a young writer from the North, write a story about it, and maybe someone reads it. Yes.
There are not many young female writers from northern Nigeria. I might add creative writers, you know, from northern Nigeria. Is that a correct observation? And if so, why?
I don't think it's correct, because it's just that we don't have enough exposure. I have friends who are writers, but just that in the North, I don't think we have channels to which we would project our
talents and gifts.
And yes, not enough.
So there are many young
Yes,
writers
they are.
from northern Nigeria. I'm keen on meeting quite a number of them. I hope you can do that for me.
Yes, I can.
Oh yes, I would love to talk to them. Yeah. So in that regard, what have you observed in terms of writers like yourself who are from northern Nigeria? Is there an emphasis in your type of writing? Like in your own case, your backdrop is insurgency. The backdrop of your story is insurgency. Is there a tendency to write with that kind of backdrop by writers from northern Nigeria?
Yes, I had the privilege of going to play the Hilltop Arts Center in Niger State, and then at that time I realized I was not the only one, and they had poets and writers all from the northern Nigeria, and their stories were not as it's not only about insurgency, but all other
wide range,
just
stories. But I also noticed some. You've got a poetry gift here.
Yes.
Some nice, lovely poems. Let me read one that is short, caught my attention. You titled it Tsunami.
Yes.
Okay. Anger welled into my throat like a lunatic joyfully trapped. You were missing when we wrinkled. You offered oceans of frivolities when we only needed droplets of hope. That's powerful. What inspired that?
So one day they were in school, the girls were in school. The next day they were in the hands of people with little or no humanity in their heart. So at that time they needed people, they needed the nation itself to be their salvation, and it was not really. That was not really the case. So that was it.
You wrote another one. You titled it, this is on page 17. You titled it, We Are Parents of Our Fathers. Night wears a lingerie. I paid 50 shillings to marry her and sip the fountains she arrived with, hoping I'll be a teacher of the arts. This might hold a degree in a scene of deceit. You are a really good writer, Zainab. Tell me about this particular poem, We Are Parents of Our Fathers.
Parents over fathers. This is talking about people who have benefited in a way that about of the tragedy of what happened to the girls. Yeah, so if in a way, and including the people, the captivators.
Am I talking to somebody who will grow into an activist writer? You know, some writers just write to entertain. I mean, they don't care about, they're not pursuing any call. They're not trying to change anything in society. They just want you to pick up their books and just write it, read it, and just laugh and enjoy yourself and have fun or be scared or feel the adrenaline. But some other writers write with a cause. You know, they write with a mission. There's something they're trying to change. There's a message they're trying to pass along. You seem to be that type of writer, or am I wrong?
No, you're not. Each time I write, I try as much as possible to see what message I can pass across. It's not just for me, it's not just for fun. I have to like give something off.
There's something you want,
yes.
There's a story you want to tell, there's a message you want to send out.
Yes.
I would say that it's a backdrop that a lot of other stories and novels and books need to explore, because there's a lot that has happened in the last 10
2014
years
yes.
in Nigeria.
Yes.
Wouldn't you agree with that?
I would really agree with that. There are a lot of stories to uncover. There are a lot of mysteries, I would say, about how things happened and how we have not heard, and how we are still keeping quiet. And even though as a nation and even as an individual, you have pitied and you have prayed, it seems like we are still not going forward.
Do you feel that, as we round up, do you feel that a lot of Nigerians who are not in the areas affected by this problem, do you feel that they do not have a grasp of what is really happening? Do you feel like a sense of disconnect?
Of course, because if we really think about it, if someone's house is burning, you say, oh, it's not my house. It's not from my own place, so it doesn't. But people who have tried and who are still trying will really see the negative effect of what really happened and how inhumane and how vicious it is.
So creatives, young intellectuals, you know, like yourself, who are Northerners, what are your thoughts about what's happening, I mean, with the insurgency, with the attacks of terrorists going on in northern Nigeria? How do you feel? What are your thoughts about what is going on, especially within the broader context of Nigeria?
Yes, I think if we are going to write for entertainment, I feel not every writer should write for entertainment. We should all tell a story, and that story reflects who we are as a people. And if we really keep doing that, there could and might be change. Yes.
Wow, it's been an absolute pleasure speaking
so
to you,
much
Zainab. Absolute pleasure. Thank you very much, and well done on your book, The Arrival, and great talents that you have. Let's see more come from you. But you are not studying literature.
No, I'm not.
You are in the field of medical sciences.
Yes, I'm a paramedical student.
What are you studying exactly?
Medical laboratory science.
Okay, great. Well done. Thank you for joining us on Channels Book Club.
Thank you so much.
Great. Welcome back. Up next is a reading as we round up the show today. Enjoy this.
Hello there. My name is Kola and I am the author of Dream and Achieve, a book that inspires you to discover and express your passion in your lifetime. The Dream and Achieve, the introduction was written by Don Green, the executive director of the Napoleon Hill Foundation. Napoleon Hill, as some of you may remember, is the author of the classic, all-time classic, Think and Grow Rich. and the foreword was written by Chief Oluwakikunbe, a Nigerian industrialist and philanthropist. I'm going to read a few excerpts from this book just so you get a glimpse of what is in the book. The book has a preface and 7 additional chapters. So I'm going to read something from the preface, which is titled, "Any Dream Will Do." Ultimately, I attribute my survival of this second major accident to the fact that I had a dream, and I had agreed with my Creator that I would personally live and work to accomplish it. As such, I believe that everyone ought to have a dream, together with the intentions and plans to take relevant action steps towards the attainment of that dream. A dream elongates your life and gives you mastery over death, because death, which is a wicked angelic being, recognizes and respects the practical dreamer. When you lose your dreams, you risk death, and not only physically, but mentally as well. In my study of great achievers, I have discovered that when some gave up, hoping after the attainment of their dreams, they soon died. They no longer had a dream to look forward to or live for. I'm going to move to chapter 1 and read the beginning of chapter 1 very, very quickly, so you get the gist of that. Chapter 1. You can, and this is how. W. Clement Stone said, quote, "Whatever the mind of man can conceive and believe, he can achieve with a positive mental attitude." Unquote. What is a dream? This is an inner view or illusion, which, although is not held in reality, can be translated into reality by aligning your belief system to agree with and affirm this inner view. As a result, the illusion can become real. A dream suggests that life can be a grand event. According to Peter J. Daniels, it is a sense of grandeur. A dream is a glimpse of destiny, which provides magnificence, nobility, and dignity. Dreaming is a God-given ability which must be developed and nurtured with sensitivity. I have always maintained that in order for a person to achieve great results, it must never be viewed as a stroll in the park. Inasmuch as we do not pray for obstacles to show up along our paths, we must be prepared to deal with them when they do. Now, at the end of each chapter, we do have a summary which summarizes some parts of it. And chapter 3, for example, you have what is called the thought in action, which summarizes it. Now, I'll just give you a few of those. Thought in action. A person wishing for a thing differs from the one who desires a thing and is prepared to do everything morally correct to accomplish it. Your desire may only be proved by what you do. Action. Do you have a white-hot burning desire? Your practice of gratitude is evident in your attitude, and there are a lot more there. Now look very quickly at chapter 5. Chapter 5, title, What Will You Become? Larry Jones said, quote, "To remain as you are denies who you can be," unquote. When I was faced with financial difficulty and still unable to break free from the mental block and bondage that automatically accompanies such circumstance, my wife Lola once passed a caring and supposedly consoling statement. She said, "Kola, I understand, and I know you're trying your best for us." I silently responded within myself that if this, the financial adversity that I was faced with, was what my best could produce, that would be very sad indeed. My question to every listener, right now, reader in the book, and practical dreamer is, are you working at your best? Do you throw your whole self congruently at your endeavor? Congruence, as already referred to in an earlier chapter, is the state whereby you are fully aligned with your person. Your whole mental and physical activities are in agreement. And finally, I'll go to chapter 7 and just introduce what it talks about. The spirit of achievement. John C. Maxwell said, the reality is that leadership intuition is often the factor that separates the greatest leaders from the merely good ones. Martin Luther King Jr. said, if a man hasn't discovered something that he will die for, he isn't fit to live. The lives of many great achievers are widely documented, telling of their achievements. I do not believe that these people achieved great results simply because they knew how to carry out certain instructions, as already outlined in this book and many others. They operated via a significant inner being within their souls, and this cannot be easily described to the uninitiated. I refer to this as the spirit of achievement.
Speak your peace to my life, and I'll be healed. Speak your peace to my life, I'll be restored. I am tired, Lord, I'm broken. I need the warmth of your embrace. Speak your peace, Lord, into my life. Speak your grace to my life, and I'll be healed. Speak your peace to our land, we'll be restored. We are tired, Lord, and broken, and we need the warmth of your embrace. Speak your peace, Lord, into our land. You're the Prince of Peace, Jehovah Shalom, the mighty God, the great I am. You will stretch out your hand when we run to you. You will draw us close. You are our peace. You are our peace. You give peace to our lives, and we'll be healed. Speak your peace to our lives, we'll be restored. We are tired, Lord, and broken. We need the warmth of your embrace. Speak your peace, Lord, into our lives.
I hope you have had a good time with us today. As always, we'll be very delighted to get your feedback through any of our social media platforms displayed on your screen. My name is Olakunle Kasumu. Remember, one great book can change your life. Bye-bye.